The moment I realized my husband wasn't just lying to me, but quietly preparing to erase me from my own life, I knew love was no longer the danger. Trust was. And I was about to turn his betrayal into the most expensive mistake he would ever make. My name is Rachel Moore. And this is how my marriage ended in silence, paperwork, and permanent justice. I met Daniel Moore when I was 27. He was calm, articulate, and careful with his words. The kind of man who never raised his voice, because he never had to. People trusted him instinctively. Including me. We built our life in North Carolina. A modest home, 2 cars, shared routines. I left my corporate finance job after our first year of marriage to help him expand his logistics consulting firm. On paper, the company was his. In reality, I ran everything. Accounts, payroll, vendor contracts, compliance. 4 years I told myself that was partnership. But something shifted in our 7th year. Daniel started guarding his phone like it was classified material. He worked late, but not in the frantic way of ambition. It was controlled, calculated, and he stopped asking for my opinion. I'd speak, and he'd nod without hearing me. At night, he'd lie beside me, perfectly still, like he was practicing absence. The first real warning wasn't emotional. It was financial. A vendor called asking why their invoice hadn't been paid. I checked our books. Money had moved. Not stolen. Repositioned. When I asked Daniel, he smiled and said, "Trust me. I've got it handled." That sentence used to comfort me. That night, it felt like a lock clicking shut. Suspicion doesn't arrive loudly. It seeps. I began reviewing old financial records. Quietly. What I found wasn't chaos. It was preparation. New LLCs. Separate operating accounts. My access slowly reduced, one permission at a time. Then came her. I didn't catch them in bed. I caught them in confidence. Her name was Lena. Younger. Sharp. Polished. She worked as a consultant. That's how Daniel introduced her. The way he said her name. Gently, like a secret. One evening, I stayed late at the office under the excuse of reconciliation reports. Daniel didn't know. I heard them before I saw them. Not laughter. Not intimacy. Strategy. She stood close to him, her hand resting on his shoulder as they reviewed documents on his laptop. His voice, low, focused, was the same tone he once used with me. Then I heard it. "She doesn't need to know yet," Daniel said. "Once the restructuring is complete, it'll be clean." Clean. That word landed like glass in my chest. I stepped back before they saw me. Sat in my car for 40 minutes without turning the key. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. That terrified me. At home, Daniel kissed my cheek like nothing had happened. Like I wasn't already being erased. That night, I cried in the bathroom with the shower running. Not from heartbreak, but humiliation. I had been loyal. It was useful. And now I was inconvenient. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed listening to Daniel's breathing, steady and unbothered, while my mind replayed every year I had defended him. Every moment I had chosen silence over suspicion. Loyalty over instinct. What hurt most wasn't Lena. It was the realization that my husband had been studying me. Learning my habits, my trust, my blind spots, so he could dismantle my life without ever raising his voice. The next morning, I tested him. Over coffee, I casually mentioned that I was thinking about going back to full-time work. Just to feel useful again. He didn't look up from his phone. "That's probably not necessary," he said. "Things are transitioning." Transitioning. I watched his face as he said it. Come. Practiced. A man already living in a future where I didn't exist. Later that day, I checked our shared cloud storage. My folders, years of spreadsheets, compliance files, and vendor agreements, were gone. Not deleted. Moved. That's when the betrayal turned physical. My chest tightened. My hands went numb. Not panic. Violation. I had helped build every inch of that company. Late nights. Missed holidays. Foregone promotions. And now I was being quietly written out, like a footnote that no longer mattered. That evening, Daniel came home unusually relaxed. He poured himself a drink. Asked me how my day was. I almost laughed. Instead, I smiled and said, "Normal." He nodded, satisfied. That's when I understood the most dangerous part of betrayal isn't the affair. It's the assumption of your weakness. Daniel believed I would break down, cry, confront, beg for honesty. He never considered that I would become still. Still enough to listen. Still enough to learn. Still enough to prepare. Because when someone betrays you this quietly, the smartest response is not emotion. It's clear. And by the time Daniel realized I wasn't confused or afraid, I already knew exactly how to end him, without ever touching him. If you want, next I can. I didn't confront him. I documented him. Emails. Contracts. Internal memos with my digital signature removed. Daniel wasn't just having an affair. He was preparing to push me out financially, leaving me with nothing but a marriage certificate and faded memories. The realization hurt more than the betrayal. He didn't think I was weak. He thought I was replaceable. One night, as he slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling and accepted something irreversible. Love would not save me. Emotion would not protect me. Only precision would. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Not to threaten. To understand. I hired a forensic accountant. Then a corporate attorney. Quietly. What Daniel didn't realize was that although the company was in his name, my fingerprints were everywhere. Emails proving operational control. Records showing unpaid compensation. Equity promises never fulfilled. And Lena? She wasn't just his affair. She was receiving payments that violated multiple fiduciary duties. I didn't expose him. I waited. 3 weeks later, Daniel finalized his restructuring. He served me divorce papers. Confident, distant, rehearsed. I signed them calmly. Then my attorney filed 4 motions the same afternoon. Breach of marital asset disclosure. Hidden income streams. Unpaid spousal labor compensation. Improper corporate transfers. The court froze his accounts within days. Lena vanished immediately. Daniel didn't yell. He didn't beg. He stared at me in the mediation room like he was trying to solve a puzzle that no longer followed logic. I walked away with a 7-figure settlement. Full acknowledgement of my role in building the company. And permanent separation from his business empire. Daniel lost clients. Lena lost credibility. And I lost nothing that mattered. The final ruling came on a Tuesday morning. I read it alone, coffee untouched. I didn't feel joy. I felt relieved. Because justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and leaves scars that never show. Daniel never spoke to me again. And that was the last day he ever had power over me.
If this story made you feel something, pain, anger, clarity, or strength, you're not alone. Stories like this are why Betrayal Nation exists. Please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and write a comment below. We read every single one, and your voice matters here. Your support truly helps this channel grow, so if you haven't already, subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Together, we're building a place where real stories are heard, truth is exposed, and justice finds its voice. This is Betrayal Nation. Thank you for being part of it.